Hello, everyone. Today we are here to interview Barnabas Deimos.
Hi.
And we have a lot of questions. Is there anything you would like to say before we start?
Um, Anything I say can and will most likely end up being used against me, so that's fine. Let's go.
Okay. So first we will start with narrator questions. Do you have any plans for your channel?
Plans? I have a very bad habit of not planning for the future that far ahead. Like I do have ideas. Um, like I would like to see a lot of my story ideas that I have on hand come to fruition. For example, Sing is going to be having a sequel coming up in the summers, in the summer, uh, and then a variety of reboots and remakes of other things with a that, in my opinion, would be a better, um, you know, be done with a better writing style. That
Mhm.
sounds so terrible the way that came out, but um, but as for like popularity or advertising and all that stuff, I don't really plan for anything like that because unfortunately that's just not my style. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. How did you come up with your channel name?
um, so Demos, or it's also pronounced Demos, it's is the personification of terror, and the brother of Phobos, which is fear, from Greek mythology. One of Ares' uh, children and little helpers. Uh, Barnabas comes from a reading or a misunderstanding from when I was a wee little kid. Uh, I used to read the Bible. I actually had every intention of becoming a priest later on when I was like 5, and I read during the story of the Passion of the Christ during the crucifixion, and uh, the during it they were asking, Herod asked the people, hey, would you I need to give up a prisoner due to this holiday. Do you want Jesus Christ, or do you want Barabbas the murderer? Now, when I read Barabbas, I misunderstood it as Barnabas as a kid, and I continued on thinking that it was Barnabas. Um, and what isn't really mentioned is also is that Barabbas, or in my mind Barnabas, was not just a regular old serial killer or murderer. He was actually a killer of Roman soldiers. He was a political refugee and soldier. So that whole dichotomy kind of always stuck with me. And the name Barnabas always stuck with me afterwards. Kind of like a reminder of the story, and two, a reminder of I make mistakes.
That works. How did your persona come to be?
Um, they I don't know, actually. I've always kind of like viewed myself on the inside as exactly what you see right there. The original concept was a man in a suit that's kind of gussied up, somebody who looks charismatic and inviting, but very obviously has a darker side. The picture that you see here was drawn by Bleeding Heartworks. If you look her up, she's an excellent artist. Um, you may see her stuff a lot with Murphy. You'll see her stuff a lot with Mr. Creepypasta too. She also does excellent cosplay work too.
She's very talented.
Yes, she is.
How has narrating changed you and your life?
Um, it's well, changing my life is actually put me on a schedule of some sorts, where you guys only get, obviously only get stuff on Fridays, or if we're lucky, some other days of the week, but mainly, Fridays and Saturday mornings are the times where I really get to narrate because the entire house is quiet and usually the outside is quiet. Um, on top of that, too, it's introduced me to a great number of people that I considered friends, and you know, like this terrible person named Cabot. People have such a love for her, but I just don't understand it.
I
Um,
don't either.
and as for changing, changing me myself, the only thing that's really done is actually boosted a great deal of confidence in doing acting. So, you know, I have heard a lot of times people really enjoy the sound of my voice, but never actually have I tried the whole acting thing, and it's actually come about. It was nothing that I would ever actually really imagine myself doing, to be quite honest.
Okay. Why did you start narrating?
Um, because I wanted a story told that I had written, and when I was first listening to Little Fears, then Creeps, then MCP, I was like, oh, maybe I could send the story to them. But you know, when you try and send somebody a story whose emails are probably bogged down to all hell, uh, it would be very the realistic thing would be, that's probably not going to get seen. It's probably going to get buried. So screw it. I'll just do it myself. And then lo and behold, it ended up getting really good reviews when I first posted it to Reddit. Uh, a couple of other narrators, the Creepy Realms, really spoke to me for a long time about how it was really good, and he really enjoyed it. He would like to see a lot more. So I continued on, and onward ho.
What creepypasta do you want to narrate but are having trouble narrating?
As arrogant as it may sound, it's actually one of my own. Um, I wrote a story called Horseman that is uh, it's meant to be done as a comic book. I had a friend last December, December 2012, who asked me if he asked me to write a story so he could animate it as a comic book, or yeah, to animate it as a comic book. I went ahead and did it and sent it to him, and nothing ever came of it. He ended up having to do a whole lot more with his life that he just couldn't, do comics. And I was looking at it, I was like, it's a good story. It's just for whatever reason, because I wrote it in the sense that it's supposed to be very visual and very relies heavily on now it relies heavily on imagination. I have a little bit of trouble getting into narrating it, knowing that it's going to have that kind of stigma associated to it. But if anybody else ever wants to try it, they're more than welcome to.
Okay. What creepypasta has made an impact on your life?
Sorry, guys.
By the way, if you hear anything in the background, that's my boyfriend talking about his surgery.
Mine's cool. I'm bleeding out of my belly button.
I wouldn't say that anything's really impacted my life, but I want to say that a very good creepypasta that's been a kind of like a benchmark of of good fear was always the Russian sleep experiment. That one is kind of like one of those creepypastas that you kind of look up to. Yeah, I would say that one.
Okay. What creepypasta will you not narrate?
I will not narrate anything that has to do with sexual abuse or just flat out rape. I will, I will do something that implies, but nothing that will flat out say. Actually, if anybody's listened to it on Chilling Tales for Dark Nights, recently Fat Guy Gets the Girl got posted on there, and a lot of people have already commented about, in the comments about the ending. That is actually the closest that I want to ever get to something like that. But yeah, sex and horror for me don't really mix. It just doesn't. Especially, the horror aspect of sex.
Yeah. Okay. Next, we will move on to questions about your writing.
Okay.
Which creepypasta do you wish you had been the one to write?
Psychosis, because I already had an idea that was almost exactly like that. But Psychosis was so well done that I really don't want to do anything like that again, or not anything like it again. But I don't want to make just a copy of it. So yeah, Psychosis definitely.
Okay. Who is your favorite creepypasta writer?
Can I nominate myself?
Yes, you can.
I actually don't really have a much in the terms of like favorite writer, and because my knowledge of creepypasta is so disparate. There's a lot of really good writers out there, and there's a lot of good writers within the narrator community themselves. So I wouldn't so much say that I have a favorite writer.
Okay. Where do you get your inspiration?
Edgar Allan Poe, H.P. Lovecraft, Stephen King, horror movies that have ranged from the 80s to the late 90s. I kind of feel that most horror movies that have come out afterwards seem kind of uninspired, honestly. A lot of comic books as well. If you notice that in a lot of my writing, when I do any sort of battle scene or any sort of like actiony scene, it's very it's a little more actiony than most others. Especially like actually Horseman is one of those stories where it's very, very actiony. And then beyond that, just everyday life.
Okay. How has writing changed you in your life?
I wouldn't so much say writing has ever really changed me because it's always been a part of me. I've been writing since I was actually around 5. 5 years old was when I actually wrote my first quote unquote story. So I've always been writing. So I would just say that it hasn't changed me because it's always been a part of me.
Okay. Which creepypasta are you most proud of writing?
That one is actually a toss-up. Sing, obviously, because it was such a it was so well received so far, and that it was actually just a story that I wanted to come to fruition, and there was no compromising in it whatsoever. I didn't have to like say, oh, I need to take this out, or I need to edit out this. It really, because of the way that it came out, it just really just flowed really well. The only thing I really needed to edit in that story was I had to fix spelling errors when I wrote it. But on the other side, I I Still Love You. A lot of other narrators have done that. It was used for the contest last year. A couple people have already asked me for it. Chilling Tales has asked me to give me the to give them the text for it so that it can be used. The funny thing about it though was that I wrote that in about 5 to 10 minutes while I was at work, realizing that my own deadline for having it done wasn't there, so I banged it out as quickly as possible, and I was thinking, okay, I'll go back through and I'll go through and fix it, and then realizing that as it was being fixed, that really didn't need much fixing. It was maybe a little bit here and there with some words, but beyond that, it turned out really, really well, and a lot of people like it for some reason.
It's definitely a popular one.
Xbox will be here on Monday.
Why did you start writing?
This is going to be a slightly depressing statement. I started writing when I was a little kid because I needed an outlet and a expression for monsters and things like that. I didn't realize it at the time, but after talking to a therapist, like when I was around 7 or so, the realization was that I was creating stories about morbid and macabre things because I was trying to deal with the fact that I was living with a monster. My stepmother used to beat the living hell out of me and psychologically abuse the living hell out of me. She made me renounce my mom's family. She made me renounce any sort of love for any sort of friends or anything like that. And obviously, doing this to a five-year-old kid, it's going to have some effect. When I would be asleep, she would come into the room at night and just beat the hell out of my head. Which, if you listen to the story "Monsters Are Real," that is slightly dramatized, but that is almost exactly verbatim what used to happen to me as a little kid. So that's why I started writing.
Okay. What is the earliest story you remember writing?
Earliest story I remember writing was about fantasy creatures. It was about a war between the monsters of the night and the monsters of quote unquote the day. There's like fairies and dragons and centaurs and things like that fighting goblins and demons and whatnot. And the way I ended up, I remember it was only like 5 sentences or something like that long. Obviously a little kid, little tiny wee Barnabas writing this, and I still managed to end it with a, or is it the ending, with a monster at the very end. Monsters still stalk the night or some crap like that. I don't remember the exact wording now. It's been so long.
Mm. Where do you see yourself going with your writing career?
Hopefully being published by the middle of the summer. Originally, I had intentions and was almost going to be publishing within February, but I stopped myself realizing that there was much more to. What I was planning on doing was taking all the short stories, putting them together, and making a small compilation. But I realized that a lot of the story of Sing, there was still much to be written, in my opinion. And there's in case anybody has noticed yet, there's actually an overarching story in almost all my written stories, and more of the written stories to come. So I realized that I want to finish that before I do a full, go full publish. And before anybody asks, I'm self-publishing. I'm going through I'm doing the Amazon thing. A friend of mine actually showed me how to do everything, so it's don't have to spend any money, and everything is just profit.
Okay. What is a fun fact about yourself?
My cat is fat. I don't know. It's really tough to think of a fun fact about yourself when this technically is the fun fact. Doing narrating, doing writing, drawing, video games, all that stuff, reading. That's all my fun fact about myself. I can fit my fist in my mouth. Does that count?
Yeah. Okay, next we have a few questions about your singing. You are very well known for your singing. Have you had any kind of training?
Nothing formal. Everything that I've learned from everything I learned if anybody's ever actually heard me do non-popular music songs, that sort of singing was all gained from years of high school choir. Actually, had an amazing choir teacher, so that's where all that comes from. When it comes to like pop songs, or more grungy metal, psychobilly stuff, that's all from just trying to emulate first of what I hear, and then morphing it into my own. So pretty much that part's all self-taught.
Okay. And the next question is, what is your favorite type of music to sing?
Yes. Actually, I mean, I would normally say my favorite type of music to sing would be classic spirituals, which things like Wade in the Water, or Swing Low, Sweet Chariots. But at the same time, I really, really, really love doing Marilyn Manson stuff. So between there and there. I normally I would say that the only thing I don't like to sing is like polka or rap.
I have never heard you sing anything close to Manson, and I've got to hear that at some point.
Okay.
Next question. Do you have any future plans for your singing career?
I don't. There's a great quote: "The world is full of singers. We don't need any more." In order to be the best, or to be a great, singing icon of some kind, that it's almost near impossible. You need almost some sort of hook, and I just don't see myself wanting something like that. Maybe eventually, something might happen, and it'll just be by dumb luck. But until then, I have no intentions on trying to Miley Cyrus myself into the world.
Okay.
I came in like a pokeball.
Well, and our last question is, would you please sing for us?
No. Sure. Just a sec. I just want to make sure that I have, if I'm singing something, I get the lines right. Actually, no, since I mentioned it. Swing low, sweet chariots. Fuck. Let me try this again. Sorry. Something that most people that know about singing, depending on what time of day it is, the better notes you'll hit. You know, the earlier it is, the lower notes, the better lower notes you'll get. The later it is, the better higher notes you'll get. Swing low, sweet chariots, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariots, coming for to carry me home. I looked over Jordan and what did I see? Coming for to carry me home. A band of angels coming after me. Coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariots, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariots, coming for to carry me home. If you get there before I do, coming for to carry me home, tell all my friends I'm coming soon, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, swing low, sweet chariots, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariots, coming for to carry me home. Oh. And then normally that would go on to I've Got a Brother Over Yonder.
And that was very beautiful. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. I'm pretty sure my boyfriend's mad because he's now had to, quiet himself on his other, on his TeamSpeak.
Well, we are done with the questions, and is there anything that you would like to say before we wrap this up?
The Legend of Zelda is a good game. Maturity means being able to listen to the other side of the conversation. I really got nothing else.
All right.
I prepared myself with the questions. I didn't prepare myself with the for impromptu, say wise words or anything like that.
All right. Well, all details for Barnabas will be down in the description below. And thank you everyone for watching, and we will talk to you later. Bye everybody.
Goodbye.